Welcome. My name is Mary McCoy Thompson. I'm the Executive Director of Dovetail Learning, and I am delighted to share with you this time called Delight in Small Moments, Strategic Tips for Fueling Your Resistance. This is a wonderful topic. It's so fun to talk about the things that can delight us. First, a little bit about Dovetail Learning. Our mission is to strengthen resilience in adults and children, and our vision is a world of kind, connected human beings. The We Are Resilient approach, which is the approach that we share with the world, is about discovering how to be the best possible versions of ourselves. A little bit about me. I have two adult children, recently married, so that's super fun. I spent 7 years caring for my parents. My mother recently passed of Alzheimer's, and my stepfather is also gone. So I'm no longer doing elder care, but I still have a cat, which is nice and lovely. And then we also spent most of my career traveling around the world, living in different places, and working with nonprofits in health and education. And it was all about helping to empower others to live their best life. So before we do anything, we're going to begin with the practice that we love to start with everything that we do, because we know how much it grounds us and how much it helps us notice those things that give us delight. So I am going to invite you to breathe mindfully with me for just a few moments. I'm going to ring a bell, and if you can feel the breath coming into your body for 3 to 5 deep breaths, I'm just going to ring the bell and feel that breathing in your body. Feel it come in as the breath enters your belly, expand your belly, and then push it out. And take another breath in through your nose. Feel it. Feel your breath in the depth of your belly and push it out. Do a few more at your own pace. We know that one of the secrets to being able to notice the small things around us that delight us is to just take that pause that breathing mindfully can give us. Just a little pause so we can see the things that maybe give us a little bit of joy and notice ourselves, what emotions is happening in our bodies at the moment. So I just invite you into that breathing mindfully practice. And then I'm just calling you back so we can continue our session together. But we don't talk about breathing mindfully a lot in today's session, but I just want to invite you to use that as a tool anytime where you're feeling like a little off-centered. 30 seconds, 15 seconds of breathing mindfully. No one needs to know you're doing it, and it can help you delight in those small moments. So the session today is about how we can find more delight in small moments. We're going to be going over 7 tips, both and, feeling our emotions, gratitude, reframing, nurturing, appreciating, and the resilient mindsets of curiosity, choice, and courage. I promised you a soulful experience today, so I hope to do a little bit of experiential activities. I'll be inviting you to share some things in the chat if you're comfortable, and if you're not, that's fine. But just, I want you to take a little bit of time for yourself. If you're driving or doing other things and you're listening to this as you go along, you may not be able to participate fully, but just think about the questions that I'm asking and how that might help you find more delight in the small moments. So before we go any further, what is delight? Delight is rooted in the Latin word delectare, meaning to charm. Delight connotes feelings of lightness, joy, and amusement, a feeling of great pleasure, satisfaction, or happiness. Delight is surprise, but only the good time. I love that word because it just, even saying it just gives me a little bit of joy and happiness along the way. All of this session is going to be rooted in the We Are Resilient approach by Dovetail Learning. And it's because we know that resilience helps us find delight. When we are feeling more resilient, we can find more delight in the things around us. And it's a lovely circle that works together because delight also strengthens our resilience. When we see things that give us delight, we feel stronger and more resilient inside. So these things are a virtuous circle, and that's the reason we like to focus on them. So my biggest tip today, honestly, is understanding that resilience is a both and mindset. So we are going to always have challenges. Life will always have challenges, and it will always bring us joy as well. If we're looking for the joy, if we're aware of holding both at the same time. A small example. On Saturday, I hosted a wedding shower for the daughter of a dear friend of mine. And the family is going under a lot of challenges. The daughter's future mother-in-law is dying of cancer, and she that is a huge challenge for the whole family and fills people with a lot of sadness as they're navigating the end days for this lovely woman. Then we also have some challenges that were happening with the sister, some health challenges. An aunt was also in the hospital. All these people who were supposed to come to the shower and celebrate this lovely woman as she embarks on her marriage were not able to come because of real important problems in their life. So we went into the shower, planning the shower, and in the process of the shower, the event, holding both all the sadness and the challenges that come and the joy of the lovely wedding and the lovely marriage that we're celebrating for this woman, this couple. Holding both at the same time gives the joy a little bit more bittersweetness, but it also helps lighten the pain because we know that life comes with both joy and pain. So I just invite you to that perspective because we are always going to be getting the negative things, the hard things, and being able to hold the joy and the pain at the same time helps us hold that delight, helps us notice delight, because we can be processing the sorrow, be processing the challenges, and see something. Oh, the previous slide said a kitten, a little dog, have a cup of coffee, the warm sunlight coming in. All those things might happen, and it's okay to notice and be joyful or have that little moment of delight. At the same time, we're acknowledging the sorrow and the pain. So I want to be clear that this is not about just looking at everything as if it's lovely and the whole world is beautiful, because it has both the challenge and the joy at the same time. And it always will. We will not have moments. There's no perfect day, whether it's the perfect wedding or the perfect time. It will always have some tinge of sadness or fear or unhappiness or anger mixed in. That's life. But when we can notice both at the same time, that is when we're strengthening our resilience. And that's what's giving us the ability to have delight in small moments. I should say, if you have questions or comments along the way, please put them in the chat. I love my webinars to be interactive, and the more that you interact with me and make comments or questions along the way, that also gives me delight. So I just invite you to participate as you can, as it works for you. So the first tip, resilience is a both and mindset. Hold the challenges that you have in your life, and they are probably many, and look for the joys along the way. The second tip is noticing myself. This is one of our centering skills, and our tagline here is pause, what's the cause? And you might be a little surprised that I've included it because noticing myself is all about being curious. My emotions, my bodies, my feelings, the thoughts that I'm saying to myself, my reactions, maybe my protective patterns and the intelligence of my emotions. And maybe you would tell me, but those don't give me delight. I have negative things that I'm saying. I'm so upset about what's happening in the world, or I'm upset about what's happening in my family, or I have challenges at work. Yes. Yes. Back to the first tip. Yes, and we know when we don't notice ourselves, when we don't notice our emotions, we're not actually able to feel joy. I have a very personal experience that happened to me regarding this. When my daughter was engaged, I loved her fiance. He is the most wonderful man, and I was so happy for her. And I noticed for the engagement event, I was not able to actually feel the joy. And when I went back to the hotel room and I realized I had been blocking all these negative things that had been happening in my workplace and the challenges that I was carrying. And because I was blocking the negative emotions, I was not able to feel the positive. As human beings, emotions are the glue that's hold us together, and we have to notice all of them. So, in order to be able to light in small moments, we also have to be able to feel the things that are challenging, the things we're angry about or sad. As Nicolas Cage, these little drawings make me kind of laugh because he has a whole range of feelings. Some we might be happy, we might focus, stressed, angry. Maybe in the span of 5 minutes, we have all these emotions, and that is okay. By acknowledging and feeling and processing the whole range of emotions in this, then we open ourselves and allow ourselves to be happy, to notice the delight in the things that we can. Here's just, I love this graphic from the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence because it gives us so many feeling words. I know often I stay in the angry, sad, happy, calm place, and I forget that there's so many other words that I can use to describe my emotion. And when we do that, when we actually go granular and are very specific about the emotions we're feeling, it opens us up to feeling more of them. For example, at the shower, I could say I was happy, but to say that I was enthusiastic and elated and proud gives a better description for how the shower actually went. At the same time, when I hear about some of the current events that are happening, if I say I'm angry, it's very different from saying I'm enraged at some of those events, right? It gives a different feeling. So understanding all the different feelings, helping to process that, that actually helps us be more present for the small moments in our life. So I invite you to do that. The second part of this chart, on the left, there's feelings that sometimes we see as narrow emotion. I mean, sometimes we see as negative emotions and we don't want to feel anything on the way. We want to just stay in the bright emotions that are delight, for example. And I will challenge you to say the emotions on the left are actually narrow emotions because they give us very important information for how we're doing in the world. And when we drill down in them, they give us information about what we want to do. And the emotions on the right, we call them broad emotions because they're generative, they're creative, they help us be creative, and they invite more people in. So I invite you to understand that both sets of emotions help us live the life that we want to live and help us create the world. They're emotional signals. Once we understand that emotions are signals that are giving us information that are helpful for our life, it's very helpful. For example, if we're frustrated at something that's happening in current events, it's probably because our expectations are not being met. If we're angry, maybe it's because an important boundary or value has been violated. I know for myself, when I feel angry, for example, at some of the things that are happening in the world today, being able to label that feeling and say, oh, this means my boundaries are being violated, my value is being violated. It helps me, calms me down, it helps me understand the emotion, the intelligence that my emotion is giving me, and like, oh, okay, these are my boundaries, and maybe what can I do about it? Gives me a place to go with it because I can start processing the information that the emotion is telling me. So just to invite you to do that. The important part about this is making space. We can't feel our emotions all the time. For example, I'm in the middle of a webinar with you. I want to share other things. If there's something that's happening, I'm like, I'm not going to process that emotion right now. And yet I need to do it at some time today. So whether I'm in the shower or the bathroom, when I'm waiting line making coffee, that's the time I might, okay, how am I really feeling? What's happening with me? I like to do that when I swim laps because it gives me space, emotional space. How am I really feeling? What's happening? And giving myself time to do that is such a gift. So I invite you to do that. The third tip here is finding gratitude. Growing gratitude improves my attitude. There's so much science behind this. If we're curious about it, it's just what am I grateful for in this moment, myself, others, or life? There's so much science, as I said, it can elevate our mood, improve sleep, and increases positive neurochemicals, the dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin, and the benefits incur over time. So what can we do to help us be able to find gratitude for these small things. A lot of this is practice and understanding what am I grateful for in this moment, myself, others, or life. The more micro practices we can put in place around all of these skills, the stronger they'll get. So for myself, understanding, oh, take a situation and think about what I'm grateful for in. Yesterday, we heard news that we did not get a big grant that we were hoping to get that would have really helped us and boosted us in a new region that we haven't been working on. But I could be grateful anyway. I was grateful that my colleagues and I worked together to create a good application that maybe will be helpful for us in the future. I was grateful to have these great colleagues that we could dream together of new ideas and new ways of working in the world. So being grateful helped us in that stressful situation of not getting the grant. Doesn't mean I can't feel sad. Remember the both and sad or frustrated and grateful at the same time. And that's how I find delight in the small moments, right? What other micro practices can we do? Writing down 3 specific things each day that you're grateful for. The more specific we can be, the better. For example, I am grateful that I had a few moments to sit outside today and I enjoyed the nice warm sun and the light breeze that were coming and the beautiful weather that we're having. That helps fuel me and gives me light and energy and delight for moving into the challenging things that I have to do. My husband and my daughter have another strategy they like to use called mental gratitude movies, which is at the end of the day, you think about as a movie the things that have happened to you, with you, for you throughout the day that give you gratitude. So you play your own movie every night in your head for snapshots of things that happen. And so when my husband goes through life, he sort of mentally takes snapshot. This was a lovely thing, so that he can play it for himself before he goes to bed. This is all in his mind, but it improves your attitude when you're growing gratitude. So I invite you to try that. I'm going to just give you 30 seconds right now to think about and write in the chat something you are grateful in your life that happened today. As you think about some of those things and write them in the chat, I've included Bobby McFerrin's Don't Worry, Be Happy as a little background music as you're thinking about something you might be grateful for. And I just did that because I had another thing I'm grateful for is a few weeks ago, we got an opportunity to go see Bobby McFerrin in person. And he is an amazing artist, as many of you know. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Anyway, he's an amazing artist, and he is in the process of, he has Parkinson's, and so we don't know how much longer he's going to be able to perform, which also gave me an immense feeling of gratitude for being able to seize the moment and say yes. That's something I would definitely invite you into doing. The more that you can seize the moment and say yes to things that happen in your life is a wonderful thing. Thank you, Lori, for saying something you're helpful for. Internet access to join this webinar, absolutely. It's something so often we take for granted, but just being grateful for all the things that we take for granted can so enrich our life. And I appreciate your ability to be here today too, and I appreciate my internet as well. So thanks for sharing that, Lori. Any of you, the rest of you, want to share something you're grateful for? And I know that we all feel better when we hear those things. So, fourth tip here is positive reframing. It's changing the view for a new view, right? So how does positive reframing work? It's just trying to see situations from a different perspective. That's how we can delight in the small moments instead of being overwhelmed by all the things that are happening and say the directives that are coming down from the current administration or other things that are happening in politics or maybe in our local community that we have no funding. Many of your local communities are the same way. All those things can happen. Maybe it's something personal and you can, what can I do? I can't do anything about this. And it's so overwhelming, right? But being able to see any current situation from a different perspective is amazingly powerful. It might be changing our mistakes into learning, our obstacles into opportunities, somebody's negativity into misunderstanding, or changing the words I have to do X, Y, and Z to I get to. I know for myself, I was recently heartened by a video someone shared online. They were talking about how diamonds are formed in great pressure. And that really lifted my spirits because I feel like as a country, we're going through such challenges right now, and understanding, oh, maybe those challenges are actually going to create something beautiful. That is a way of positive reframing some of the challenges that we have today. Julie, I love you. I shared some vegetables my partner grew with the students I teach. What a beautiful story. They were so excited they ate them with delight. My partner isn't always as generous and warm as I could hope, and it was kind of him to share him. I appreciated being able to share our abundance, especially as wasting food or labor or holding excess rather than sharing. It can make me feel so sad. I am so with you on that. I love to share. We have a huge apple tree, and so we're offering it on Nextdoor, and we're offering it on WhatsApp for the neighborhood and everyone. Anyone want to come and take my apples? Because that also gives me joy to be able to share the food that we're growing. Thank you for sharing that lovely story. And it's a great example of how gratitude and can help create this circle of feeling good, right? So positive reframing. Okay. How do we do this? We might have to brainstorm positive or possible alternatives. Sometimes it's adopting a long-term perspective. So if we're looking at, oh my goodness, how can I resist these things that are happening in the world? Saying, okay, what's going to happen in 10 years and how can we help from what's happening? Moving from a problem to opportunity. I have a friend who has a great perspective on this. And so when the Department of Education was shut down, she created an organization that is interviewing all the people who are involved, or some people who are involved, to try to figure out what's the next Department of Education going to look like. So she looked at the problem, we no longer have this, and what's the opportunity? What can I create instead? It's a beautiful example of positive reframing. Sometimes it's just, I'm doing the best I can. I know for myself, a real example of positive reframing happened for us last December. My husband learned at the very last moment, right before we were supposed to get on a plane for a vacation for Christmas with my extended family, that he has a heart condition and we weren't going to be able to travel. And I was really devastated, I will tell you. And in the end, my children came and visited, his mother came in and visited. And for him, he said it was a wonderful Christmas because he got such intimate time with people who cared about him. In the end, his health turned out okay, and we're working through the challenges of his heart failure. But it's no longer the crisis it was. And I was just so touched by his ability to positively reframe this event that was very hard into something that was actually a beautiful time with his family. So just an example of positive reframing and how it can help us see the delight in small moments. So the micro practice here is, what is the most empowering story I can tell myself? For my husband, the empowering story he could have said was, my heart is in failure and I can't do anything. Lori, I love it. What am I doing well, even if no one sees it? That's in the chat. Anyway, he could have said, it's horrible. He's just so fearful and sad and upset. But instead, he uses it as an opportunity to say, look, my children and my mother can visit, and isn't that wonderful? Nurturing myself. This is very important for finding delight in small moments. We need to nurture ourselves. Our tagline here is, for better health, I nurture myself. My reminder here is, we don't expect our phones to work when we haven't recharged them. Maybe we could give the same care to ourselves. What kind of recharge do you need to function, to be able to find that delight? Self-care is not selfish. I know it might feel like the world is falling down, but we have to care for ourselves in order to be able to care for others, whether it's our community, our family, or the world at large. So please, I implore you to do this. Give empathy to yourselves. It might be physical, it might be intellectual, emotional, social, or spiritual. We have all those domains in which we need to nurture ourselves. And sometimes it feels like a long to-do list. Oh, I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to do that. I'm supposed to do this. Oh, do I need to work out? Do I need to do more flexibility training? Do I need to do more strength training? Do I need to do more cardiac training? It's overwhelming. What kind of exercise do I need? Just in one part. These are all these ways. I invite you to just think Take one moment right now and think of one way that you could nurture yourself, one thing you could say yes to, because I know by saying yes to one thing, it opens our minds. And as I said before, when we have a little delight in our life, then we have more resilience. And we have more resilience, we can have a little more delight. So nurturing ourselves is a integral to finding joy, and it's integral to being able to resist the things that are challenging us right now. So I invite you to do that. Okay, my sixth tip here is appreciating others. And that is when we communicate what we appreciate with those that we care about, those that are helping us. Everyone from the postman or the postman to the grocery store clerk to, the people in your family, right? Just take 2 minutes to send a text to someone you appreciate right now. I'm just going to take the moment to do that. And we're just going to listen to this lovely stream. And one more time. When we appreciate others, it's all another virtuous cycle because we start feeling better. We get positive feedback from them, from ourselves, and it really does help fuel us for this resistance that we need. Oh my goodness. Okay. Now I went backwards. Okay. Our final tip here is the resilient mindsets. Resilient mindsets, what are they? Resilient mindsets are positive attitudes that help us approach life with a sense of possibility and confidence. Sometimes we go into life with a fixed mindset. This is not going to work. I can't do it. Resign. We might feel threatened. And if we change those and flip them, so open ourselves up to curiosity, choice, and courage, we can totally change our perspective. And that's when we notice small things in our life that can give us delight. How am I being? What don't I know? Maybe what empowering choice can I make, or what kind of person can I be? Curiosity, we ask ourselves, how am I being in this situation? Maybe I'm the one that's getting in the way. Maybe I'm the one that's reacting in a way that's not helpful. Or we can ask others, help me understand. May I ask a clarifying question instead of jumping in with our judgments? If we're open and have a curious mindset, that's when we see those small things that can give us delight. For choice, I suggest that you grab that space between something happens and the response. If you grab the space in between the stimulus that happens and the response, you then have a space in which you can make a different choice. You can say, I'm not going to get angry in this situation. I'm not going to become frustrated. Instead, I'm going to be curious. I'm going to ask questions. I know for myself and my relationships with the people around me, the more I can move into curiosity and the less I can stay out of judgment. When we're planning the shower and all these things are happening, being able to say, okay, I'm not going to be judgmental. I'm not going to be frustrated or angry. I'm going to have a choice about how I respond. That helps when tensions are high. Courage, that is when we're feeling what our hearts are telling us, listening to our inner wisdom, and taking action in ways that honor our values and boundaries. That's when we feel the delight because we have courage. It takes curiosity, it takes understanding we always have a choice, and it takes courage to do that. Those are very important if we're going to have delight. Finally, I just want to remind you that authentic delight is a leadership strategy that inspires and empowers others. Sometimes we feel like, oh, if we're just angry or we're frustrated, or maybe we shame other people, that people are going to want to do it, or we tell them what they're supposed to do, that's when they're going to do it. They actually respond when we're happy, when we're giving positive appreciations to others, when we're finding gratitude, when we're noticing our own emotions. That's when people respond and come along on the train that we're trying to get them on. So if we want to empower a lot of others, if we want to lead people on along a path, whether it's resistance or other things, I invite you in this authentic delight. The We're Resilient has approach has many things to it: curiosity, choice, and courage. It has the patterns that we even talked about today, and it has the skills that we started talking about lightly. All of this information can be found on our website at dovetaillearning.org. A lot more information about all of these things. So I invite you to do that. We have a book, The Heart of Resilience, Nurturing Your Inner Strength for a Joyful Life. And the audiobook's coming out this fall. So I invite you to go to Dovetail Learning to learn more about that. We also have an advice column, Ms. Resilient, on Substack. Tuesdays and Fridays we have, and that's a really fun way. And we talk about all the different ways that this approach can help you for very specific reasons. So I invite you to look at that and subscribe to that. We have so many free digital resources, and you will get this whole deck sent to you, and as well as the recording. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for those of you who are willing to participate in the webinar today. So I just appreciate you. Honestly, being able to deliver this webinar today was the delight of my day. It was a small moment in many ways, but being able to focus on the things that give us delight, empowers us and helps us be the kind of people that we want to be in the world. For all the work we need to do, whether it's big or small, whether all the relationships we have, I invite you to do that. So again, please, any questions? Thank you, Lori, for your positive feedback. I appreciate it, and I appreciate all of you. Thank you, Julie. I really appreciate you as well, and all the rest of you for coming today. Have a wonderful evening, and take care of yourselves. Bye-bye. Thank you, Trina. I appreciate it.